Welcome to the Vitality Shift podcast for chiropractors. I'm your host, Dr. Don McDonald, author of the best-selling book, The Underdog Curse. Weekly, we will be interviewing amazing chiropractors from around the world, finding out how they made their vitality shift. If you're a chiropractor that either wants to just move your practice away from treating pain and conditions, or if you just want to stay inspired, this podcast is for you. For more information on past shows, please visit www.drdonmcdonald.com, and I hope you enjoy the show. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Vitality Shift for Chiropractors. This is Dr. Don McDonald, your host, and today I'm super pumped because today I get to bring back a returning guest who is a big, fancy author who has amazing books. And actually, it's funny, since our last interview, you can go back into www.drdonmcdonald.com just to see our previous interview that we did on Profit First. But since that time, I've done the Pumpkin Plan and I've also done Clockwork, and it's amazing stuff. And then I even had the opportunity to get one of these early copies, and so people who can see it, I got an early copy, baby. And so the new book is called Fix This Next, and I've already gone through it, and it's pretty amazing. And so I'm really happy to invite back Mike Michalowicz to the podcast. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be back. Thanks for coordinating this, Dr. Don.
No, this is great. You'll hear a dog barking in the background, but that's
awesome. I get it.
He barks in like probably half of all of our interviews, so it's all good. He's just singing in the background. So we went through Profit First, which was amazing, yeah. And it's just cool because like since we talked last time, I've been able to go through, and it seems like you've kind of like narrowed in on certain problems that businesses have that are common problems, and then this book seems to kind of like blend a lot of them together. So I was wondering if you can kind of talk a little bit about how you even came up with the idea for this book.
Yeah. So and it's interesting due to the current times as we're recording this, the potential applicability of this book. So what I found is the biggest challenge entrepreneurs have is knowing what their biggest challenge is, particularly in times of stress. When the business is under organizational stress, we often revert to, I just need to sell my way out of this, which is not always the right solution. And interestingly, when there's economic stress, and we're potentially at the start of a significant recession because of the coronavirus, these times often cause us to respond very in a very reactionary way without thought and caution. So my thought was, how do we navigate these circumstances? Well, I believe the biggest challenge entrepreneurs have is knowing what our biggest challenge is. So if you own a business, what's the one thing you must work on now? And under duress, it's hard to figure that out. So in Fix This Next, I developed a hierarchy of needs, a way to be like a compass for the business to evaluate what is the current impactful need that needs to be addressed. Do that. Once that's resolved, move on to the next one and be very deliberate in moving our business forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because this in our program we have a program for chiropractors called the Vitality Shift, and we have the hierarchy of vitality, which is so funny. Right. We just love hierarchies, right? So we talk with mobility at the first. So when we're talking about when the body is reorganizing and healing and creating new patterns, we want to start with mobility at the first, because the end is optimizing brain function, being better connected with others, which is going to be a little harder at this time. That's why we need chiropractic in this time of stress, and then creativity, because then when we're working, creativity is at the top of the hierarchy. And it's quite interesting because with your hierarchy, this is very relevant with chiropractors, because a lot of chiropractors get into business and they love the vision and the legacy. And so they're spending a lot of time on the top of the pyramid. And I was wondering if you can maybe go through and talk about this, because until we get the base of the pyramid, firing good, you can have this great vision statement while you're on the street collecting coins. Right?
It's totally true, right? And sadly, many businesses go into business with a great vision, but no form of sustainability. And those businesses, sadly, are mostly not-for-profits, right? I want to change the world, and I'm going to try to change it with nothing, and you don't. Right. But sadly, many for-profit businesses become not-for-profits. So what I did was I deconstructed Maslow's hierarchy, but these hierarchies all work the same, that foundationally, what was the most base level need that must be satisfied first before the next level can be addressed. Once that's satisfied, you can aspire to higher levels. But just like a hierarchy, at times we will naturally cycle back down. Right. In Maslow, for example, the base level is physiological needs, oxygen, air, water. The highest level need is self-actualization. Well, you and I, this could be considered self-actualization. We're talking about very high level kind of business philosophy. Well, if I'm eating a hamburger while we're talking and I start choking, I will inherently am wired to revert to a physiological response. I need to get that out of my throat.
Right.
Well, this is true for our businesses too. Our businesses have a hierarchy, the base being sales. Sales is the oxygen for an organization. Without inbound cash flow, you have no business. So we need that oxygen. But immediately above that is profit. Profit translates to the sustainability or stability of an organization. Right. We need that cash reserve because there's changing times and there's massive change afoot right now.
Right.
Businesses that have a profit formula and have been accumulating profits are in a much better position than businesses now that have nothing. So profit brings about stability. The next level above that is called order, and order is the creation of efficiency. The ultimate definition is a business that can run on automatic. If I get sick and have to leave the business for a month, can the business continue to run in my absence? I actually think the ultimate test is the 4-week vacation. If I leave for 4 consecutive weeks and I'm not available for my business whatsoever, does my business continue to grow? And if the answer is no, there means there's fundamental efficiency problems in place that need to be resolved. Mm-hmm. Then above that is called impact. Impact is the creation of transformation. This is where a business is no longer about the transaction as much as the transformation. How am I changing people's lives? Yes, I provide a service or a product. A chiropractic service is very transformational when done right. Mm-hmm. You're changing people's lives on such an extraordinary level. The businesses that appreciate that and perpetuate that are having great impact. And then the highest level is called legacy. Legacy is creation of permanence, where we create a business that is designed specifically to run into perpetuity in our absence. Therefore, it can continue to do the great things that we're doing without us. So that's a hierarchy of needs. And what's important about this is we do have to go to different levels. Like when our business is growing, we want to have greater impact, but you don't have enough sales to support it. You actually have to go back to sales to get more clientele and more cash flow generation and retain more profit, build more efficiency in order to have that level of impact. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I want to point out though, is we are not naturally wired into our business like we're naturally wired into our bodies.
Totally.
When you have an ache or pain, you know that there's something there's an action needs to take place. When our business has an ache or pain, we actually don't even see it or feel it. We do say we trust our gut, but that's a danger. We need to look at the data. And sadly, I see businesses respond often by saying we need to sell our way out of a challenge. So as the economy may start a slide now, people will be saying, I got to sell more. That may be true, but it's not necessarily true. It may be actually reducing your sales offering to only doing more profitable products. So you actually may have a profit level, or it may be controlling costs through inefficiency measures. So we can use this hierarchy, and in the book, I have a series of 25 questions to pinpoint the real need, not what our gut is telling us alone.
And I know you had a couple examples in the book, but and again, we see this in chiropractic a lot because like sometimes the first couple levels of the pyramid aren't so sexy and they're not that fun. We kind of like spending most of the time at the top, and you kind of have some of the clients we've worked with when you say you need to do that, they almost temper tantrum a bit because they're like, oh man, I've been in practice for a long time. I don't want to have to go out and get more new people or new patients. Can you maybe share an example or two of other businesses that you've seen where they had to like scrap focusing on the top of the pyramid and had to get back to basics?
Oh, for sure. Probably my favorite story is, I include in the book, is a guy named Jacob Leimer. He's out of the South Dakota area, has 2 coffee shops that are called Cottonwood Coffee. Been in business for 13 years. He was one of the first companies we started testing this on back in 2017, I believe we started testing with him. And he implements the structure and he goes through this analysis of reading the hierarchy. And on his case, kept on pointing back to a sales challenge. Specifically, there's a thing called lifestyle congruence. And what lifestyle congruence is, once we know the lifestyle of comfort that we define for ourselves, I'm not saying of excess or celebration, but just absolute base comfort. What do we need? We then ask, what correlation of sales does the organization need to support that level of comfort? Many entrepreneurs, myself included, for years, I used to say, I want $1 million business or a $5 million business or whatever the arbitrary number was, but it wasn't tied into supporting lifestyle. Once we figure that out, now we know what the right size business is to at least get to this comfort level. Well, he's been in business for 13 years. He wanted to live on at the legacy level and having such permanence and the coffee shop running without him and having impact on their community. And he says, I'm not going to do this. I don't need to go back there. And he went through the analysis again and said, you got a lifestyle congruence issue. He said, I don't want to do this. It took him like 3 or 4 iterations. And he finally said, I got to face the truth. I don't know what kind of size business I have. Once he did this, it was very clear on the revenue he needed to generate to give himself comfort, which was way less than he was expecting. Now he has confidence in how to build his business structurally in a sound way to support his lifestyle and have its impact. So he went back to sales. He's been building his way up. And now his potential for impact and legacy is so much greater because he got to the foundational level.
Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if you could tie in some of your books to the hierarchy, like, because I noticed that, well, obviously Profit First is like linked to the profit level. Yeah. So I was wondering if you could just link your other books into that hierarchy and how that all blends together.
Yeah. So Fix This Next, my intention is for this to be the starting point. I used to have people come to me, still do, and they say, hey, Mike, of your books, which one should I read next? And I used to blurt out whatever I was hyped about in the moment, like, oh, you got to read Clockwork or my brand new one, whatever it was at the time. Now I realize, since the biggest challenge business owners have is knowing their biggest challenge, the appropriate response when someone says, what should I read, is, well, what's your problem? What's the challenge you have? Right. What's the most important thing to work on now? And if you don't know it, that's where Fix This Next comes in. So I designed Fix This Next to be the starting point of figuring out what to work on. Within the hierarchy, I've written some books that satisfy it. So the base level of sales, the pumpkin plan is a strategy for this extraordinary but organic growth focused on a sales technique and marketing process. Then Profit First was about the profit level. Clockwork was about the efficiency or order level. The levels above it, I haven't written those books. And I'm going to continue to write books. It's my absolute passion. I want to be of service to the entrepreneurial community. I will write more books for the specific levels. I don't think there's one book that can do all for profit. I think I need to talk about leveraging debt and those type of things, and investments, and even partnerships. And I think for the foundational level sales, there needs to be sales scripting and other things. So those are things I'm going to work on. But I have written books that now fit in this hierarchy pretty clearly.
It's almost like you did Star Wars, where they did the first couple episodes first, and then they went back.
Yeah.
The trilogy, and then you go back and write the later ones down the road, right?
Exactly. That's basically it.
That's funny. So talking about the current situation right now, because like this is just top of mind. We have certain businesses that might be forced to be closed for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. Yeah. And so what would you give as recommendations for, say, chiropractors out there, anybody listening to this that might have a couple of weeks where they're closed? Because we should probably use this as effective time. Like if we can't be working, then we should probably be like planning or organizing or what
There's
would
no question about it. Yeah. So first of all, I think we just need to have a mindset shift first. So day one, the second one is simply saying, this is an opportunity for my business and believing it, as opposed to this is a challenge. Because if we say this is a challenge or this is going to devastate my business, we will start behaving consistently with it. Often that starts with abandonment and hiding away.
Right.
Conversely, if we say this is the biggest opportunity for my business, then our mind starts thinking, well, how is that an opportunity? And we start exploring those things. The obvious kind of carte blanche thing is, can we do stuff remote? One chiropractor, her name is Dr. Nancy I was talking with, we actually just spoke this past weekend, is responding with online training, self-chiropractic care. Stretching actually was their big thing. And she said, the things you can do around stretching. And she's already sold this weekend stretching videos for the tune of almost $1,000 in a beta that she just kind of put out there. So she responded by saying, how can I serve my customers under a new format? I think we ask ourselves that question.
Yeah.
Secondly, when customers return, is there potentially a catch-up work? Meaning, is there going to be people that haven't come in for adjustments for a few weeks? And now there's a lot more people in need in the surge. So we have surge hours prepared for when we open the offices again, that we start 2 hours early, or maybe we end 2 hours late, or maybe the combination thereof. Right. We're anticipating the need. Mm-hmm. The one thing we cannot do is just sit home and wait for this to pass. We need to respond both with intentional planning for what is likely to be the next step, surge demand, hopefully, and alternative planning. What if this does not restore? What if things don't come back to normal? What is the new thing I can start offering and start testing out, just like Dr. Nancy did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's interesting because we can. I think too, like if I just think of finishing up Clockwork, and so for a lot of chiropractors that might not have had systems set up for training for their staff and all that kind of stuff, this would be a great opportunity to actually, if you're at home, you can probably go through all your systems. And I know we're talking about Fix This Next, but I thought maybe you could flip back to Clockwork for a second, just because of the times, but. How you mentioned in there about creating videos for staff training. Because this might be good for chiropractors that if they are forced to be at home, maybe this is a good opportunity that they can help with their training.
Start the tree. Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, we can create systems, and what systems yields is efficiency, which is no dependency on you. Mm-hmm. The irony is that most businesses start off by the business owner doing all the work. As we scale, we often get into the trap of thinking that we're the only one who can do the work, and that prevents our growth. So now's an opportunity to capture the work you do. And how you do this is like we're doing via video. As earlier this morning, I was on Loom. Loom's a way to record things on the screen. So there's certain processes or procedures. Maybe you're doing the insurance claims. Maybe you're doing the scheduling. Is there anything you're doing that now is an opportunity to record the process so that when we return to work, that we can hire someone on board, part-time, whatever, or virtual help to take that off our shoulders so we can get to doing the billable work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's great because if you're and talking about the hierarchy of needs in this book, if you're not able to work on the sales or the profit, if you're closed, then we can work on the order, like about making maybe office systems more accurate and all that stuff, eh?
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. There's no question about it. Is that if there's always an opportunity to work on our business, and when it comes to the fix this next process, the business will present its foundational need. But if a certain need can't be addressed at this point, let's say it's inaccessible for whatever reason, then we revert to the next need that will present itself. Interesting thing about efficiency is the question is not just overall efficiency where. So if we're starting to go into a slowdown in our business, we do want to look at sales and marketing specifically. Often larger businesses will falter first and falter the hardest. A 10% loss for a small business, if you're a chiropractor and you have 200 patients, that's 20 patients. Right. A big company, if there's these big chiropractic services that have 5,000 patients through a network, well, their 10% is losing 500. Mm-hmm. Well, those 500 customers are going to go somewhere. And often customers that buy from the big vendors will step down to smaller vendors because we can modify our offering and cater to them better. Mm-hmm. That opportunity, you may lose 20, but you got 500 coming down the pike. Can we grab onto those? So we have to start thinking strategically and bring efficiency to that. So interestingly, in a dearth in an economy, sometimes marketing is actually the best response you can have to be very targeted in a community that's not being served well, so you can grab them on board. And listen, I think we do have a right to simply say, I'm not going to participate in the recession, should that be coming. Yeah. And you can't just say that and cross your arms and hope it happens. Of course, you have to take action accordingly, but realize that there's definitely opportunity coming down the pike when the bigger companies struggle.
Well, and it often isn't in the past when we have these huge recessions like in the 30s and stuff. Some of the biggest companies in the world actually had their start in those. And I wonder, do you have any examples of that or of?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. I started two of my businesses during recessions. So 2008 and 1998, I think was the other one. So I started during these tough times, 96, 98. When was it, 93? I started so many darn businesses, I can't remember. But I remember 2008. I remember the Twin Towers collapsing because we're right outside. And I remember, starting a business then. And it was a dark period. But what happens is during those periods, weaker businesses go by the wayside. Mm-hmm. When the economy's booming, everyone is like, oh, business is so easy. Yeah, because there's more demand than supply. Of course it's easy. When things slow down, those weaker businesses go by the wayside. So it frees up these customers. Now, some customers are just not going to buy because they're feeling the crunch too, but a portion of them will buy and they'll be magnetized by the companies that will cater to them. Brand new startups often are the most aggressive, and that's why they get those. We have to go in with a startup mentality, right? So if we're an established business, go in and say, listen, this is a fresh start for my business. I'm going to aggressively seek and cater to new clientele, and you start bringing them on board.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's funny because if you start up in this time, you know that you're going to have to raise the bar. So actually what it does is it kind of forces everybody to level up, right? Level up everything that you're doing in your business, right?
Yeah. It's, so funny. It's tough, but we never know what the trigger is going to be. Who knew a pandemic would be it? And who knew it would be horrible terrorist attacks before? Yeah. But if we respond with an offensive as opposed to defensive or ducking, which are the two words, if we respond offensively, meaning grab opportunity, I think we can fare okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about then when the book's coming out and kind of how they can get hold of this.
So Fix This Next launches April 28th, which I'm super excited about. I think the timing is hopefully of service to many people, because I think there's a time now. What we need to is have deliberate pause between action and reaction. We need that contemplation. And that's what this book will do. We'll just for 15 seconds, just to reconsider, am I reacting to something here just because it's the most imminent thing in front of me, or is it really the impactful thing? And that's what the book will do. Mm-hmm. To get it, you can go on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, any bookstore actually. But what you can do today, if the book's not available for you just yet, go to fixthisnext.com. We are responding by setting up our evaluation software where people can start evaluating their business to determine what they need to work on even before the book comes out. And that's all available at fixthisnext.com. That's
great. And you said too, you can sign up for, you can pre-order it, right? I know I was talking to chiropractors.
And you can pre-order it. Yeah. It's on Amazon. So pre-order it and it'll come your way. Exactly.
Okay, that's great. Well, in closing, in this time of strife in the world, as a business leader, and basically with your sole purpose is to help entrepreneurs to be very successful, which I think they're going to need it more than ever right now. What kind of words of inspiration would you like to leave all the listeners with today?
Well, first of all, thank you for being an entrepreneur. We all, small business owners, are the backbone and foundation of the global economy. So we got a responsibility to stand up, stand strong, and not to go and duck our heads in the sand. We got to push forward and grow your business. I also want you to know that your clients want you to be profitable. Now, your clients will never come to you and say, hey, can you charge me more now? Can we double the rates?
Yeah.
But what your clients will say is, when I get my chiropractic exam, I want you fully attentive to me. I don't want you distracted by thinking of the next client because you don't have enough money coming in. I want you to cater to my care. Mm-hmm. You'll use those words. And the only way we can be totally concentrated on clients if we don't have financial worry. So you have a responsibility to be profitable, and your clients want that, so you're not distracted. So we are the backbone of this economy. Our clients want us to be profitable. Let's move forward and do this.
That's great. Well, I just want to say thank you for writing the book too. I'm lucky to get one of those initial copies, and
yeah, I'm so happy you got it. It's awesome.
And I've burnt through it pretty fast. And I don't really do books. Usually I do audiobooks, right? And so, will you have the audiobook available for this?
Yeah, audiobook will come out right after the print book. So about a week or two after April 28th.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, because all your other ones I always do audiobooks, right? And so I love.
Oh, and I'm really excited about this audiobook. So we finished recording a few weeks ago. What's so cool about this one is it's called a parallel read, meaning I read the book, but I also insert highlights around why I wrote certain things throughout the book. So if you have the print book and you're following along, you can highlight kind of external notes with the audiobook that complement the print book.
Oh, that's good, because I was going to say, yours is the only book I've actually read of yours, because I just do audiobooks.
I love Audible too.
Yeah, because I just drive into work, I can just blast through them so much. So I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast again. And again, people want to get contact with you. What other contact? So
go to fixthisnext.com to evaluate your business right away. And if you want more details on me and all the other work, I got tons of free resources. It's at mikemotorbike.com. My nickname from high school. So MikeMotorbike.com. It brings you to Mike Michalowicz, but no one can spell that. And at MikeMotorbike.com, always free resources from all my books and some work I did with the Wall Street Journal.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you have received value from this episode, please share this with a fellow chiropractor and take some time to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever your favorite place is to listen to podcasts. If you're interested in learning more about our programs and events, please visit www.thevitalityshift.com or connect with me on Facebook. I would love to hear from you. So until next time, Dr. Don out.